Work-life balance. Okay, the first step is to admit there is a problem, yes? One of my favorite quotes, Nora Ephron, sadly just passed away recently, but insane people are always sure they're fine. It's only the sane people are willing to admit that they are crazy. I want us all to admit that this lifestyle that most of us are living is crazy, right? I mean, do you think we would have pictured this, how many, 200 years ago, 150 years ago, the pace? I think part of the issue, at least for me, and I think a lot of you can relate, is that we have this incredible ability to basically expand to the amount of work and things vying for our attention that are in front of us. And we expand and we expand and we expand until like, we're like that big bubble, you know, like I can't take any more. And we've found so many ways to get more efficient that we're not allowing ourselves any opportunity for downtime. This course, building this course was extremely personal for me because I feel like I've been building it for a decade. I mean, really, I've been building it from before that, and I'm going to tell a little story about that in a second. But when we had 2 dogs and no kids, I remember being obsessed with how do I get work-life balance, because those were my babies. And then when actual humans came along and the needs became more complex, I was like, oh crap, I really need to figure this out. And I tried a little bit about my background. Most of you have probably seen the video, but I came out of business, came into photography, and currently I have my photography business. I have a video production business, Lackey Casey Studios, where we produce Redefine, which is a web series that you can see on Adorama TV, and the Capturing Life Through Better photography media series. And the photography itself is actually split between shooting. I'm a really active shooter. I do a lot of sessions. I no longer do weddings, but I'm very active in portrait sessions. And this, teaching and creating products and all that sort of stuff. And that's work. And then we have my husband, who you're going to meet later today, who's never been on camera like this, who's just like, what do I do? I'm like, you just sit there and look pretty. He is pretty. You'll see him later. He has 3 businesses. Most people don't know this. He runs basically Endurance Magazine, which is a fitness publication, Sport Often, which is an online sport registration company, and a race production company that puts on a series of triathlons and races around the region, around the Carolinas and beyond, actually. And so he's got that. And then we have our 3 kids who are 10, 8, and just turned 7. Our oldest, our daughter, she is boring biological, as she'll tell you. And our 8-year-old, came home at 9 months old from Ethiopia. And our just turned 7-year-old came home at 3.5 from Ecuador. And so they have, you know, school and end of grade testing and all their play dates and you know all that stuff, right? So you add all that up and it's like you haven't even gotten into the other parts that we're going to talk about, but it becomes a requirement to get systems in place, and it becomes a requirement to know why you're putting systems in place. We're going to dive pretty heavily into that, but the biggest thing I want to tell you about this course is that everything I researched about work-life balance, because I put a lot of work into this, was just like, this is how you do it. You start out by doing more. You start out by doing more. And I'm like, I can't do more to get there. I need to do less. I need to do less to get there. And that's what this course is. It's going to be about how do we very quickly have you doing less. I'm really proud of this course design, if you can't tell. All right, this is my doggie, Glory. Isn't she awesome? She is 13 and a half. She's a 13-and-a-half yellow lab that's about 98 years old. And I think pets are pretty fascinating in that, anybody here have dog, cats, ferrets, etc.? Not that any other pet isn't a pet. But I think they're pretty fascinating in that they live these abbreviated lives, right? I mean, you get them for how long? To me, she was just a puppy, and now she's flat out geriatric. We took her to the beach. This was shot about a week and a half ago. And this is the dog that, when we were in San Francisco, would just like dive in the waves. You guys know Fort Funston? It's called like doggy heaven. It's off San Francisco, off the coast. It's basically open that you can let the dogs run around like crazy. I don't know if it's still off leash, but it was when we were there. And she would just, you know, swimming was all, she would swim for 8 hours if she could. I took her back, and this was the first year that she didn't go in the water. Then when I tried to pull her in the water and the waves hit her, she would just kind of gingerly step back. She would trip when we walked along the beach. It's just like you see like what age is doing, and you see how life, oh, I love this dog. But you see like how quickly it's all happening, you know? And if you think about the fact that it's all happening so quickly, what are we doing with the time that we have, and what are priorities? And that's what we're gonna dig into, because this dog is actually, if you saw my Taking Care of Business course, I referenced her. She was my like aha moment. The experience I had with this dog, when we started our company in San Francisco, we would take her to the office, and that was the biggest thrill, right? You take your dogs to work. Like that was so exciting in the .com era and everything. And it was 14 of us, this dog, and we'd bring her in before it was light. She would sit in the desk. We'd take her out 2 times to pee. And then we would go home, and it was dark. And you know, again, I talked about this on Taking Care of Business, but what's so important and why it's relevant here is I remember bringing her back in one time, and she basically collapsed under the desk and did this kind of dog sound, like, you know that thing where they just kind of sit like that, and she looked bored out of her mind, and I looked down and I said, this is no life for a dog. And of course, the epiphany was that this was my life, and this was my husband's life, and this was how we were spending it, and it was moving quickly. So I think we can use pets as a wonderful microcosm of, if we're looking at them and feeling empathy, we should be having that for ourselves. And I think that gets missed a lot. This whole course is also based around you having empathy for you. So we're going to talk about symptoms versus problems. I think in the medical community, this is based off of medicine, but the idea of treating the symptom versus treating the problem so you don't have more symptoms. Your priority plan for life. We're going to build this right here, balancing the all of it. This is a mother lode of tips, like literally boom, 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 of how do you save time, calm your stress, get your environment under control. The art and lines of lifetime love. I called it this. Oh, by the way, when I say balancing all of it, I mean we're going through all of this. Simplifying your environment, erasing influx of paper, getting more rest, managing the maintenance side of home, eliminating meal angst, motivating the troops, whatever troops you got, and the art and lines of lifetime love. This went up actually on the creativeLIVE website as the art of long-term love or relationships or something. And when I saw it, and I know it went up as an agenda line item because there's only so much space, it just kind of had to go up like that. But when I saw it, I said, well, it's not like a relationship. When you're committed to a relationship, it's not like it's all art. Does anybody have a relationship that's just pure art and no work or lines or effort? Relationship people?
Well, we've been married. We just celebrated our 15th anniversary in May.
15?
Yes.
Happy anniversary.
We did not get married when we were 12, though. People ask that. We were 19.
Yes.
So no, it definitely, yeah, there's a lot of ups and downs. And even though there's love, there's so many other challenges that come with a relationship. And then when you throw kids into that stress and then working together and everything, like the love part sometimes gets forgotten and you become roommates with a business. So yeah. It's like...
Which is like suckfest.
It really does. We're out of that part now, so that's great.
Okay.
But it's a lot of work. And it seems to come every 6 to 8 years. It's a lot more work.
Oh, you've trended it.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh, that's impressive. Nice, okay. I don't know that I have it down to that science yet. But I will say, yeah, I mean, the idea that there are a lot of lines in a relationship, and unfortunately there are lines that we don't always communicate to the other person that they can't cross. And that's what builds up. And I want to be pretty truthful about relationships. When my husband comes on, we're going to be pretty open about the fact that when you are doing this, he's running his businesses, I'm running my businesses, all of this, what are you actually facing, and how critical is it to communicate and avoid some really painful experiences, you know, of which we've had too. So we're going to share some of that too. And lastly, how it all works, the family panel. This is going to be the unmitigated chaos of my children joining the set, and goodness knows what that'll be. But the intention of this was to say, hey, after I got done talking about all this stuff, how does it really stack up to a family? It's fine to say, do this, do this, do this, do this, but how does it actually play out outside of theory in a living, actual situation? And they are veterans of all these things that I'll be talking about.